Okay, it's on.
Hi guys! Hey y'all! What's up? It's me, Sarah, and welcome back to this week's video! Today's just gonna be a super chill video. I'm just gonna be sitting here chatting with you about my mission trip, what all I learned, what all we did, and just sort of like God moments throughout the week. So, grab a snack, get some, I don't know, coffee or tea or something. I don't drink either, but just enjoy the moments. I don't really know what's going on. Let's chat about what the Lord has been doing in Appalachia. So the mission trip that I went on is called ASP, or Appalachian Service Project. It's an organization that functions in 5 different states, which is Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, North Carolina, and Kentucky. And every year we just have the most amazing time. It's always very interesting because it's such a week of hard work, but it is such a blessed week, and I just enjoy it so much. This is the 6th time that I've been 6 years. Yeah, 6 times. All it is we go to the center that we are at, so it's a little bit different every time. On Sunday, we get all set up, we sleep on cots, some sort of school or like a community center. We'll sleep in like a gym or classrooms or something of that extent, either on cots or air mattresses. I sleep on a cot because I like to have space underneath to store all my stuff. That's besides the point. Then on Monday, we have our first day at the work site. Everybody calls it Mosey Monday because you're just sort of like getting your bearings of the work site, setting everything up. And then you work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Friday night, we have a share circle. We just talk about what the Lord has done on our work sites. And then Saturday, we head out. But what is this work site? What are we doing? What is the mission? All of this stuff. What is this service project in Appalachia? Well, let me tell you. This is literally so cringe. Anyways, ASP, they call it a construction-based ministry, but it's really a relational ministry with construction on the side. So basically, people in parts of Appalachia will apply to have some sort of part of their home repaired or fixed or even installed to make their homes what ASP calls warmer, safer, and drier. There is a set of staff that will go through the applications, check them, see what is possible to be done, and it's really cool. One of their slogans is meeting homeowners where they are, just the way they are, I think. So they really they try their best to help as many people as possible no matter their situation. And another part is on the work site you're gonna have a team. So the way my church does it is we give you like a mom and a dad, so an adult man, adult woman to be the mom and dad, and then maybe like 4 to 5 or 7th grade I think to like college age people as like the kids. And they're like your family for the week, but you're not related to any of them. They purposely split up parents and kids to really help you get to know more people in the church. Not everybody does that. Some people serve with their families. Some people are just random people that sign up. I don't really know much about how ASP functions outside of going with a church group because I've only ever been with a church group. But yeah, I hope that gives you a general overview. So now, into what I was doing this week. This week was really an interesting one. On my work site, we had 2 teams. We had my family with my mom and dad and brothers and sisters. I only had brothers. And then we had what we call my cousins. So it was a separate team of 6 people, mom, dad, and a bunch of kids. So yeah, we all worked together for the week. Our particular site had 2 projects. One of them was to finish a ramp. And keep in mind, it's in Appalachia, so we are in the mountains. And this ramp, let me tell you, it was a crazy ramp. It went like out of the house and this way, and then it went this way, and then it went this way and back and in, and then it was done. And it was so long. It was like one of the biggest ramps I've ever worked on, and I've worked on a few ramps at ASP, and they're normally like, it's like the house is up on the hill, right? And then the ramp is coming out, and as it's going down, so is the hill. So like the ramps are normally pretty long because like you're fighting the Appalachian Mountains and how like unlevel and like rocky and mountainy it is. Anyways, that was one project. It was super interesting, and it was mostly done. It was just putting up a few more railings and spindles, which if you don't know, spindles are like the vertical things, like a porch with the 2 things, it's like the railings that keep you from falling through. And then the other project was starting a bathroom renovation. So this bathroom was very old. It was a mobile trailer home that had been worked on a few times, but they needed to make it more accessible because the homeowners, as you could tell with the ramp, they needed more accessibility in and out of the home. It wasn't a very small bathroom, but the tub was very wide and tall, so it was hard for the homeowner to get in and out of the tub, so that we needed to remove that and put in a shower instead, and then replace the toilet. They hadn't been able to flush their toilet, and they didn't even know how long it'd been such a long time. And then also we were just gonna replace the vanity as well because it was pretty old. So there's 5 work days, right? Monday and Tuesday, me and most of my cousin crew were working outside on the ramp, while my brothers were inside working on the demolition of the bathroom. And they did an amazing job. Shout out to them. They worked super hard to keep what we could, but also get all of the rotting wood out. And as they were doing the demo work, they found a lot of rotten wood. So it was actually, the project was getting a little bit more difficult than we were expecting it to be. So that was something tricky we had to navigate throughout the week. Yeah, so Monday and Tuesday, that was the project. By Tuesday, the ramp was almost done. We just needed a couple more resources. But Wednesday, this was the fun day. One of my team members, well, this isn't the fun part. One of my team members ended up, he was kind of getting sick throughout the week, just like congested and stuff. So he ended up staying back at the center while the rest of us went on to do our next work day. And so I switched places with him. So it was my dad, my brother, and me working in this bathroom. And they'd already finished all the demo work pretty much. So at this point, we were working on putting back together. I had to go underneath the house because the support system was so out of whack that because of all the rotten wood that we had to put up some more, as they call, nailers. So the way a floor works for the most part is there's like joists, and then you can put nailers in to make it more supported before you put the subfloor on and then the flooring. Yeah, look at me talking like I know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so Wednesday, that was what most of the work was. But the hardest day was Thursday because my cousin crew finished the ramp. And so they actually went to a different work site. So most of our team, besides me and my mom and my dad and this like helper from ASP, left. So it was just me, my mom and dad, and the helper. Oh, shout out to him. He was a gift from the Lord above. So Thursday was a little tricky because most of our team wasn't there. We had lost a lot of our support system. So it just kind of like really was the brunt of the work. But this is the moment I want to share. So the kind of work I was doing under the house, I was installing supports, and I was also working on the plumbing. So particularly with the toilet, that was our first task, is we wanted to get them a running toilet because we'd taken their old one out. So they had nothing they could use while we were in there. So that was an urgent, like, we need to get them a toilet that's working. I was underneath there, and I'd already done the plumbing for the toilet where you have to connect, I think it's called the flange, up through the subfloor. So at this point, I'm totally subfloored in underneath the house. There's no way for me to crawl back there. I'm totally sealed under, and I had been working on putting in more nailers to support because they were finding the subfloor was a little bit too bouncy and stuff like that. And I'd been under there for hours, and I kid you not, I was just sitting there and I was like, Lord, you gotta help me through this. Like, the Lord is my strength and my salvation. The Lord is the lifter of my head, the upholder of my life. Like, just reminding myself that I'm like, you can do this, because mind you, there was some old pipes that they'd cut from the old plumbing system from years and years and years ago that were just dripping water on me. So I'm sitting in a puddle, surrounded by insulation, as you can see in the pictures, and it was just really rough. Like, I'm not at all complaining because there's much worse things I could be doing, and it definitely was a great experience. I honestly loved it, and I learned so much. You can always take a shower and rinse all that stuff off you, but it was hard work. So I'd been sitting there, and I kind of would just zone out until I would get my next instruction because I couldn't tall what they were doing up there. All I could hear was just banging around and sawing and screwing in and all that sort of stuff. So after, I think, 3 hours being under the house, just sitting there, I'd already done my nailers. Some of them were just so tricky. I had to be really careful under there, and like there's insulation and rusty nails and spiders galore. So I was kind of just like worn down. All that to say, I was sitting there at this one point and I was kind of zoning out, like just waiting for my next instruction. And then all of a sudden I hear, okay, we're ready to flush the toilet. And I was like, wait, what? And all during that time where I'd been working on screwing in these extra supports, and I'd been kind of like frustrated and really focused on what I was doing and how challenging it was and sort of getting beaten down, our helping hand from ASP had very quietly brought the toilet in, set it literally on top of me. Like, I don't know how I didn't notice, but he'd set it in and he'd installed it and he'd gotten it all ready to the point where we were ready to test it to see if it would work. Like, he was done. It was just such an amazing reminder to me that just because you cannot literally see in front of you that the Lord is working doesn't mean that he isn't working. For me, in that moment, I was so focused on my challenges. I was so focused on what I was doing, and I didn't know how long I was going to be under there. I had no clue what the next steps were. I was very focused on my situation that I didn't even realize what the helping hand had been doing, and the fact that, like, as soon as we flushed that toilet, I got out from under the house. So I was done under there in like 5 minutes, But for me, I was like, oh, this is gonna be so much longer. It's gonna be so difficult and such a long time. And it was such a cool moment because the toilet flushed. It was amazing. I checked for leaks, nothing was wrong, and I got out from under there, and we were done for the day. Like, that was it. And it was just like amazing because I'm like, that's exactly how the Lord works. Me in my flesh, I'm so worried about my life and my struggles and what's going on, and the Lord's up there just quietly sitting in the toilet, installing it, screwing it in, getting everything ready, you know, and I'm just sitting here like, this day is wrong. So it kind of encouraged me to just have a positive spirit and just have an outlook of looking for how the Lord's working and listening and not just drowning in my sorrows and my grumbling and all that sort of stuff. So that was a really big God moment throughout the week, and I just loved that moment so much. It was just such a testament of like how the Lord works. So then that leads us to Friday. Friday was a little bit different than the other days. I didn't have to go into the house. All we did really was we got the plumbing ready for the next day, and we put in the other piece of subfloor. We like officially installed it, screwing it in, and then we were done for the day. And it was really interesting because at ASP it's a 7 to 8 week period of work. Each set of volunteers only comes for 1 week, so you only see 5 days of your project. And for us, that looked like seeing the bathroom as what it used to be, and then there was only a toilet. And I don't want to show too much just out of respect for the homeowners, but I will show a few pictures. It was just so interesting because as we left, it's also kind of a leap of faith because we aren't sure like what the other team is gonna do, and the control freak in me wants to stay and finish the project and know that like the walls are gonna be painted and like all this stuff and it's gonna look great and the homeowner's gonna get exactly what they want. But I have to just let go and just trust that the next team is going to do a good job and that they're going to do work that is focused on honoring the Lord and honoring this homeowner and giving them exactly what they need. And so that's also an interesting part of ASP because you're such a small piece of the puzzle and you only get to control what you can control, and the rest of it you just have to give to the Lord, you know, and see what's gonna happen. And you can check in on Facebook to see the finished product. But so that part's always interesting. And then lastly, I wanted to talk about my team. My team was amazing. I loved having a double team because it meant there were 12 of us instead of 6, so I really bonded with like more people. And I want to include this little video. This is a clip of me flushing the toilet again. Our other team came back to look at the site and to say bye to the homeowners. And they all let me flush the toilet, do the honors. This is the second flush, but then they just cheered for me, you know. So I'll put that in here. Nice. But yeah, I just feel like that's such a great example of what my team was like all week. Like every time I would come out from under the house, they're just like, oh, how are you doing? Like, do you need water? Are you doing okay? What can we do for you? How are is there tension in there? They've got music playing outside, like all sorts of stuff. And I just felt so supported by my team. And I feel like that's another important aspect of ministry is the best way to get ministry done is together. We may not all be able to be under the house together. There's literally no room for 12 people under there, but we can be in it together by supporting each other and being there for each other and just listening to what other people need. So I think that's also a good reminder that I learned from this week. It was also really nice because my brothers and cousins on the team, they didn't make me do any chores. Like, we have to do chores as a part of ASP to keep the center clean. Like, every team is assigned a chore. But they were literally like, Sarah, don't you dare touch a broom tonight. We are cleaning everything. You go to bed, go shower, go take care of yourself. So that was also a perk because they really supported me in that way and they had my back. Anyways, that was pretty much it. It was a great week. We got a lot of good work done and I just had a good time serving the Lord with God's people. I think it's important to get out of your comfort zone and try new things and be willing to serve the Lord in ways you may not have expected. Anyways, yeah, thanks for listening to a bit of a testimony from my trip at ASP. The theme was Be the Light, so I just encourage you all, everywhere you go, to just let Him shine so brightly through you that the darkness cannot even be around you. The darkness just has to run and flee. Something beautiful about light is that it reflects who Christ is. When people look at us, they see Him, because we're so in tune with Him and we're so focused on Him and turned towards Him that other people see Him, if that makes any sense. Matthew 15:13 through 16. It says, "You are the salt of the earth, but if salt has lost its taste, how shall its saltiness be restored? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled under people's feet." And then listen closely. "You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden, nor do people light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a stand, and it gives light to all in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven." I think that's really the reflection part, is that they see what we're doing and they see our everyday life and how we seek to serve others, and they don't see us, they see Him. You know, that's the goal. Be the light, get uncomfortable, and just listen to the toilets being installed in your life. I guess that's the point of this video. Just some encouragement. I encourage all of you to serve however you can, wherever the Lord calls you, and just be willing. Hands open, arms open wide, wherever he sees fit for you to be. Thanks for tuning in, and hope to see you all in the next one. Bye!